Arkle 1964 here, another video looking at some interesting races in Britain and Ireland. As I said last week's video, I'm not necessarily going to go through the major races, just races I think of interest and people might not know about. And we start on Monday with Micah Tiger Lyons Memorial Maiden over 1 mile 2 furlongs and a small bit. Interestingly, there are actually 2 Michael Tiger Lions. I thought it wouldn't be too difficult to find out. There was one who died in 2003. However, I think this race is more likely named after the Michael Tiger Lions who died last year in Curragh, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, in County Roscommon, and obviously that one makes more sense. I did wonder if they both could be related. Maybe it's a shared sort of middle name, but the one who died last year's parents are Pat and Margaret, are certainly not Michael. So it might be, there's always possibly some relation there, but I don't know about that. The race hasn't been run before, so therefore I assume it's named after the Michael Tiger Lions who died last year. On Tuesday in Ireland, Cork has Apprentice Handicap on over 7 furlongs for 3-year-olds plus. Well, back in the UK, we have a conditional jockey's handicap hurdle at Hexham, just over 2 miles 7 furlongs, and also the Lynn Sidall Memorial Handicap Steeplechase over just over 3 miles. This race is named after former trainer Lynn Sidall, who died in 2021, and the race was first named after her in 2023. Her obituary mentions, of course, a card treble done in only 45 minutes. Also on Tuesday at Huntingdon, there's a novice hunter steeplechase over fractionally over 2 miles 7.5 furlongs. Well, something at Lingfield, the Simon Duggan the Bad Amma Handicap Stakes over just over 7.5 furlongs. That's possibly named after Sam Duggan, the Irish harness racer. It says it's on the internet, I can't check that, but it might be named after him. Later on Newcastle, we have an Apprentice Handicap over just over 2 miles. And then, over 5 furlongs, the in loving memory of Yvonne Rush Novice Stakes for 3-year-olds plus. It's a new race, so sadly I assume she's died recently. There is a concern Yvonne Rush who was involved in making cakes in Newcastle, but that may be a coincidence. Wednesday at Ffos, we start with a conditional jockey's handicap hurdle of exactly 2 miles 4 furlongs. And a happy first birthday Donegal Fenelon Novices Hurdle Race over just under 2 miles. The Happy First Birthday Idris Novices Limited Handicap Hurdle over just under 3 miles, and the Faki de Belay Novices Handicap Steeplechase over again just under 3 miles, obviously named after Faki de Belay for a horse. Now I'm not quite sure why specifically here. He sadly died in a fall a few years ago and actually won 3 times a market race, and you won once at Ffos last, but I'm not quite sure the logic of why named a horse after, looking here at Raceball's website, he won 3 times the first, second and the fifth. I don't quite know why the horse has got a native race named after him here, but he has done. Said before, like my Cup races, and at Warwick on the same day, you've got the Lodger Cup Handicap Steeplechase of exactly 2 miles 4 furlongs. On Thursday at Musselburgh, we've got an Amateur Handicap Stakes over just under 2 miles. At Southwell on the same day, just over 1 mile 3 furlongs, we've got an Amateurs Jockeys Handicap Stakes for 4-year-olds plus. On Friday in Northern Ireland, with Downpatrick Downwall actually being run by the Irish, like as I said a few times, like Rugby Union is, so horse racing all Irish sport, we have a British Horse Racing Board and the Irish Horse Racing Authority. So Downpatrick, we have an evening meeting, we have the Frank and Brian Fitzsimons Memorial Handicap Hurdle over just over 2 miles 5.5 furlongs, and then a Maiden 100 Steeplechase over just over 2 miles 7.5 furlongs, and intriguingly named point-to-point flat race over just over 2 miles 1.5 furlongs. And the entrants here must have finished first, second, third or fourth in a point-to-point steeplechase in Ireland, all ran in 2 or more point-to-point steeplechases between the 4th of October 2025 and the 17th of this month. The Memorial race has been around for a very long time indeed, and in fact I can go back to the 30th of March 1988 here, with Frank Fitzsimons having a race named after him. I may well go earlier than that, so just the Raceball's website doesn't go back any earlier than that, so you'd have to check some full books to see how long ago it goes, and it was named after Frank and Brian Fitzsimons 2 years ago. Same day at Haydock, for 3-year-olds plus, there's a Cecil Frail Stakes, a listed race over 6 furlongs. According to the old races names code UK website, I have to admit I've never heard of before and might be an interesting resource for this. Cecil George Frail was born in 1870 and died in 1935 as a family of racing administrators, very well involved in racing since 1835. And he said that Frails deserve a book to themselves, where it says that Cecil Frail was a licensed official by the age of only 22. I think that's not the first time Hedge has seen some family connections, and what more maybe I have nowadays, or people involved in racing and their children taking over. It happens, I think, more, some of these in training and you see doing that. But I think in race administration, less so these days. And it was Clarke, of course, at the old Manchester Racecourse by 1902. As holding the same post at Haydock and Windsor, and it says that the Cecil Frail selling handicap was ran at Haydock since his coronation meeting a couple of years after Cecil Frail died, and that in the end the name was dropped from Haydock in 1987, and then in 1994 it came back as a limited handicap, and then since 1999 we have the Cecil Frail Stakes as well now, which has been named after him. Personally at Pontefract for an evening meeting on the 22nd of May, as I said in one video, I'm planning to go to Yorkshire Sculpture Park in the afternoon, and a couple of races of interest here are the Thank You Alexia and Good Luck Handicap Stakes for 4 years plus over just over 2 miles 1 furlong, and the Summer Sutton 18th birthday celebration handicap for 4 years plus for just over a mile. And I'm pretty certain the first of those 2 races, the Alexia race, will be named after Alexia Chesters, who's marketing manager at Pontefract Racecourse and obviously is going on to another job. Moving on to Saturday at the Curragh, we have a listed mile-and-a-half Orby Stakes for 4 years and upwards that have not won a Group 1 or Group 2 race. And this race is named after Orby, the first ever Irish trained winner of the Derby, winning it in 1907, and he also sired Derby in a Parade and the £1,000 Guineas winner Diadem. In addition, the Greenlands Stakes for €4 and upwards, a Group 2 over 6 furlongs, and Greenlands is in the area of the Curragh Racecourse is located. After the Irish 2,000 Guineas, we have the Gallinule Stakes, Group 3 over mile 2 furlongs for 3 year olds only, and according to the Thorbett Heritage website, he was a very good juvenile, and it says here his races later were marred by both mismanagement and bleeding, and outstanding in Ireland, he was a very successful sire and led the sires list in the UK in 1904. And he's also the sire of a very well-known horse, Pretty Polly. And later in the card, the Irish Stallion Farms EBF Habitat Handicap over 6 furlongs, which is for 4 years and upwards. Habitat, a horse who won Lockinge in 1969, and can run on sire horses like Habiti and Hittite Glory. Possibly better known as sire of broodmares, being the Damaser Reference Point, Charlotte, Barrowfield, Grand Lodge and La Meninas. Back in Britain, we have a listed Cocked Hat Stakes at Goodwood, that's just over 1 mile 3 furlongs for 3 year olds only. And the Height of Fashion Stakes, another listed race over fraction under 1 mile 2 furlongs, again 3 year olds only. Cocked Hat Stakes was originally called the Dominant Stakes, with Dominant being a 3-time winner of the Goodwood Stakes from 1958 to 1960 and winner of the 1961 Goodwood Cup. According to Wikipedia, the Cocked Hat Stakes, how to admit I didn't know this myself, its title recalls a light-hearted race stage at Goodwood in the 19th century, where each rider had to wear a military hat. Height and Fashion Stakes was originally called the Lupe Stakes, named after Lupe, the winner of the Oaks in 1970, and then renamed the Height and Fashion Stakes in 2007. A filly who itself actually won the Lupe Stakes in 1982, a successor broodmare of horses such as Unforain National and Nayaf. And we do not want to mix this horse up with the mare Height of Fashion, a different horse. We don't want to mix this up with the Irish staying chaser Height of Fashion. Well, the Fiesta Stakes there was something like 12 stone and came out second, having both Arkle and Flying Bolt in the Irish Grand National 2 different years. Height of Fashion, but slightly differently, with an O and apostrophe before fashion. The Saturday at Haydock has the Hedge of Oak Stakes, listed race over just under 1 mile 2.5 furlongs for 4 years plus. I believe the name is connected with an area around Haydock Park, and the race is a relatively new transference to Haydock, coming across last year, and formerly in Ayr it was called the Woffacy Stakes, and was first ran in 2016. Then we have the Silver Bowl Handicap Stakes, 3 years only, and was ran just over 1 mile. We also have 2 Group 2 races. We have a Sandy Lane Stakes, 3 years only, over 6 furlongs, and the Temple Stakes, 5 furlongs for 3 years plus. Sandy Lane itself is a place in Merseyside, while Temple Stakes moved from Sandown to Haydock in 2008. Old Horse Race Names website. No one's quite sure they're saying where the Temple name really comes from, and they're saying that Sandown's first Temper Stakes was handicapped in 1887 to 1914, and Sandon wasn't created too much long early before that. I think it was somewhere in the 1870s. And saying it went to Haydock, so I don't know, not quite sure really where the name comes from. At Salisbury, we have the Cathedral Stakes, 6 furlongs listed race for Ffos Plus, which is named after Salisbury Cathedral. A bit obvious that one, but it's an interesting race name anyway. Meanwhile, at York, we have the relatively new Bronte Cup Filly Stakes Group 3 over just under 1 mile 6 furlongs of €4 plus. And as you might guess from the name, it's named after the Bronte sisters Anne, Emily and Charlotte. And also Royal Regiment Handicap Stakes over just over 1 mile 2 furlongs for €3 only. Back in Ireland, after rather strangely, the Irish 1,000 guineas is the first race on the card at 1 o'clock. I'm not sure that's a mistake or not. What on earth is it running at 1 o'clock for? I'm just very surprised. I don't know why on earth you'd run the Irish 5 guineas as the first race on the card. Very strange indeed. We also have the Group 3 Marble Hill Stakes over 6 furlongs for €2 only. Allegedly, Marble Hill Stakes is named after Marble Hill House, located in Portnuma, County Galway. Remember now, Radder Stud Stakes, Group 2 over 1 mile for foiled plus fillies, or officially known as the Ridgewood Pearl Stakes, with a number of races including the Farsi Stakes, Aris 1,000 guineas, Coronation Stake, Peter Moulin de Longchamp, and the Beaters Cup Mile. On Sunday at Kelso, we have a Corinthian Spirit Grassroots Hunter Steeple Chase Series Final over just over 3 miles 2 furlongs. And on the same day at Utoxeter, we have a Happy Birthday Mark Sergeant Handicap Hurdle Race over just over 1 mile 7.5 furlongs. Then we have Handicap Steeple Chase for the Sir Stanley and Lady Clarke Challenge Trophy over exactly 2 miles 4 furlongs. Stanley Clarke plays a number of race courses, including originally I think the old owners in Newcastle, and also in horse racing perhaps best known for owning the winner of the 97 Grand National, Lord Gallinule. I'd like to get to this race at some point, but unfortunately, as I said in a few videos, Sunday transport to Utoxeter is absolutely dismal, and it's almost impossible to get there until about 3 o'clock, so it never really works out. There's also the Steve Budding 60th year celebration handicap chase, and that's over just over 3 miles.